Hello. We're here for a very special evening. Hope you've tuned in. We're waiting on Ian and Paul from Brothers Bond Bourbon and other adventures in their lives. We'll talk about that. But right now, I'll do what I always do while we're waiting. I will sip some whiskey. On a cold day here in Kentucky. It's winter, suddenly. Sometimes I feel like Nick Offerman in the video where he just drinks scotch in front of the fire quietly and people watch, which is awesome. But as usual, this always gives me a great chance to get very familiar with whatever we're trying while we get started. For those of you out there, we are drinking Brothers Bond, 80 proof, straight bourbon. Oh, there they are.
We there?
You guys caught me pontificating about Brothers Bond.
What's up, Brad?
While we're away. Not much. How are you guys?
Dude, Brad,
what's up,
meet
brother?
Paul Wesley.
We've never
Paul,
met.
how are you?
I missed
you last
Kentucky.
time.
I know.
He was shooting. He's a big star.
Big star.
so-
trying to,
But he was bummed, dude.
follow
He
in
was,
Ian's footsteps.
he was
Well-
so freaking sad that he wasn't with us. Because it's Kentucky, man. It's like it's with
Paul, I
you
don't want to
guys.
say you missed it, but you missed it.
By the way, I heard from everyone
It was pretty.
that
damn
it was
special.
like such a killer trip, and everyone had
It was-
such a blast. And
It was pretty special,
Yeah.
man. You guys treated us. It's like Jonathan really made sure that we were like family, and Brad really just what he has done for us in this space is just crazy. We're walking into these liquor barns in Kentucky, and you walk in, and it's Kentucky. It's the home place of bourbon, and you see our displays and the warm welcome that you gave us, man, and the people of Kentucky. So, like, I literally at one point, Vincent and I were sitting there, and not to, we were like, sound like such a baby. We were literally, I had like misty eyes, man, because I was thinking to myself, first of all, he wasn't with us, but man, we're in Kentucky. And so, Brad, thanks for doing that, man.
Thank you guys for doing it. I wore people out. I talked about it for 2 or 3 weeks, how much fun we had. And I think the brand is amazing. We have sold out everything the distributor could sell us several times over.
wow,
It continues to be in our top items. I look at everything every Monday. I think last week it was number 29. So
wow.
for comparison, I'm sure the viewers out there in Instagram land, this is the last thing they want to hear. But we probably sell 3,500 different,
Oh, no.
we call them SKUs or spirits items a week. Last week you were number 30. So,
Unbelievable.
I mean, that is awesome.
Yeah,
It's
man.
been, for me, I've seen a lot of things over the years. Michelob Ultra was crazy. White Claw. This one has been just as crazy for me. Watching it sell over and over. Stores worried that we don't have enough. Ashley in marketing. Are we going to have enough bourbon? Are we going to have enough for this Instagram? I said, I promise, we're going to get it. We're going to get it. And I bought a serious amount of it, and I checked this morning. There's not a ton left. I thought there's no way. There's no way.
That's so
this.
good.
It's close. So
Man.
I love all this. I love it that you guys came to see us here in Kentucky. We all bonded. I think we truly did. I don't think we set out that way on that trip. Like, hey, we're all going to bond for these couple of days, but it was great. Jonathan's the best at making everyone feel like family and like you're at home. So, Paul, you missed it, man. So
I know.
gotta
By
come
the way,
back to the
I feel
Commonwealth.
I
We'll
feel
have
like
more
you guys
fun.
are having the brothers bond, and I'm on the
we're
outside.
all on. By the way,
Oh,
to
no.
everyone watching, thank you for joining. And what like the idea is even if you've seen us talking about this, what I encourage you to do is stay with us, because if you sit here with Brad, Brad is really one of those rare experts. And I say this like, Brad inspired the conversations I have with Brad are so damn inspiring, because Brad just has such immense knowledge of bourbon, and he can explain everything from the history to the making to comparisons to it's mind blowing. So Brad, it was one of the highlights of my career, really, man, sitting with you and that amazing, what liquor barn is it? The one that has that insane bar that I was climbing up the library ladder on to get
Springhurst Liquor Barn in Louisville, which is where I'm at today.
Springhurst in Louisville.
So,
yeah, man.
There were about 5 people out there having cocktails when I walked in, but I maintained focus and came back here to do this.
Yeah, you had to do it.
Here off.
Well, you could have a cocktail with us.
Yeah, man. So
I'm
listen,
here.
so everybody, here's the thing. If you can, get in here, if you have Brothers Bond, I would suggest opening it or opening the bottle. I just wanted to say, the huge thank you to Jonathan Blue for giving us not only this opportunity and, enlightening and pushing his team to do this, but, everything that we got to do with you guys. Look at this. We have this. I brought this from Kentucky. I made this with,
That was a gift for me.
I made this with Liz.
Paul, we put him to work. You did miss that.
I know.
Yeah, right?
He
Put him
goes
to
to
work.
work, and I get the gifts.
That's right. You're on the right side of that equation.
I'm not complaining.
But also too, being able to connect with everybody on this, not just online or on Instagram, but in Kentucky, where listen, it's the birthplace of bourbon, and it's where all of you crazy bourbon bourbon heads are, which we all aspire to be there. So, just thanks for this, man. We're gonna pour one. Anyone online with us? Let's do this together. I'm going to pour you one.
Thank you, brother.
And I'm going to pour myself one. Brad, you got one?
I got one. I'm topping off a little. I had a couple sips while I was getting ready.
We're not going to lie. We had a few sips too.
Yeah.
I knew it.
And everyone, thank you guys for tuning in. For everyone that's here, we appreciate you guys being with us.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, everyone. And thank you, by the way, thanks to the Liquor Barn team. You guys, you all have been so good to us, and it was amazing being able to meet you all over these Zooms and ideating on how to do this, and we got to do it, and we're doing it together. So, thanks.
I have to say, and I think I told you this maybe, is that our first Zoom, I was on a trip with my wife. We were up in the mountains of Colorado, and they said, we're going to do this Zoom on Friday morning at 8. I was like, patient. We're up
With
there
these
in the
guys,
mountains.
these
Okay.
crappy
I remember
actors.
that.
So we did this Zoom. So my wife was doing her thing. She was beside me working. She was like, wait a minute. Is that Ian Somerhalder on your Zoom? I said, yeah, it is. And she was like, it sounds so professional. It's a very good presentation. So even across the table, it's getting to what I'm about to say, is often, at least in this life, when you're doing Zooms and meetings, there's texting going on in the background between people attending the Zooms. And Jonathan and I were texting each other about how much you guys had your act together and how great the presentation was, and how there were all the I's were dotted, all the T's were crossed, all the information was there. And when we got off the Zoom, we called each other and talked about how full your plan was and how engaged you guys are. We were like, man, this is a home run. It's Babe Ruth kind of pointing at the back of the stadium, right? It's like, this is going to be
so rad, man.
Piece of cake. And it has been. You guys have made it really easy. So,
Well, dude,
cheers to you guys and the Brothers Bond team. Beth Ann has been great. Remington's been great. I know our group loves working with you guys. So, cheers to you.
Cheers to you,
Thanks,
and cheers to everybody online with us. We're getting that into the tasting of it.
I never get sick of this bourbon.
You know, I've had several drinks and it's still robust. I still have a nice long finish right now. I think it's perfect for the holidays, right? Especially what's getting ready to come up this week. I know we're not doing pairings. I really just wanted to have some whiskey and talk about stuff with you guys, and maybe bond, which I think is the theme of your venture here. And I was talking to somebody else about what was I going to do. And, you know, I don't eat that much sugar, but one thing I always do is pumpkin pie at Thanksgiving. And I've pretty much decided that I will be having Brothers Bond with pumpkin pie on Thursday.
Yeah,
That's a big
I'm pretty
deal.
sure
Brad.
it's
good
going to
combo,
work.
my friend.
That's a big
Pretty
deal.
sure it's going to work with the cool
we made a
spice and pumpkin pie.
Well, pumpkin and Brothers Bond go very well.
Oh.
So we had a pumpkin spice
We made
cocktail
a
the other
pumpkin.
day,
We made a pumpkin simple syrup old fashioned,
and it was delicious.
like a pumpkin old fashioned. And you know, not everybody wants cocktails, but man, let me tell you something.
Yeah, it was damn good.
Pumpkin and spice with this bourbon, and Brad, the fact that you would be having this at your table with your family, I've heard from a lot of people that they will be having Brothers Bond at their family outings this holiday season. For us, that is an amazing thing because it's all about bonding. And if you look at where we've come from in the world for the last now almost 2 years, which is crazy to say, bonding is everything we've been searching for, in need of, just excited to do.
Yeah, it's been a time of kind of, you know, everyone's sort of been in their own bubble for the last 2 years, you know, and now, you know, people are starting to really come out of that bubble. And so, you know, when we created Brothers Bond, obviously we didn't know the state of the world, but it is interesting that Brothers Bond is coming out, you know, has now come out during this time, and people are looking for togetherness and community in a sense, and bonding with one another.
Yeah, and you know what the cool thing is, man, is like bonding over the holidays, especially this year. This is our first year out, man. So to think about like the fact that this is going to be, I mean, it almost like, you know, this stuff, because we've worked so hard on this, it makes me feel like I have such a great sense of pride, but it also makes me kind of emotional thinking about like parents sitting with their kids coming home from college, people they haven't seen in a long time, and bonding and talking about bourbon, and young people coming to their home after college saying, Mom, Dad, you know, remember that show that we used to watch together when I was a kid? Well, those guys grew up, and this is what they have, and they're sitting there, you know. And so, you know, if you're in Kentucky, get your butt down to Liquor Barn and pick this up, because I believe it's going to become a holiday favorite. There's no doubt.
You know, I was thinking about you two guys earlier today. It's safe for work, don't worry. And and I was wondering, and maybe you can answer this, you don't have to answer. So when I first became familiar with you, my wife and I loved Lost. We watched all the episodes of Lost, followed it weekly. That was before we were even DVRing things. I mean, we were like weekly appointment TV. And so then you guys are both on Vampire Diaries, and everything exploded. And I'm sure it was a really, really good feeling internally that everything that happened. On the other side, you two created a bourbon that is wildly successful, that is on shelves everywhere. It's getting great reviews. You're doing all these good things for the planet and for people. I have to ask, which one felt better? Because I thought today, I was like, I wonder if the magic, and listen, I follow you guys. I see you all across America in shelves and in stores and tastings. Is this just as rewarding or more? And I'm just curious, because I think putting together a bourbon that does awesome and everybody loves has got to be very rewarding in a sense.
I think it's, well, go ahead.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. I'll say it very quickly, and then, you know, Vampire Diaries was an amazing experience. It was a lightning in a bottle. It was such an incredible phenomenon. You know, Ian and I have both done it. Ian was on Lost, which was a phenomenon too. So it's kind of crazy that he was on two phenomenons.
First one cast, first one killed.
Right.
But you were hanging out with John Locke. What are you going to do, man?
Yeah, I don't know what I was doing. I think I maybe showed up to set too many late times or something.
There you go.
But the reality is, it's lightning in a bottle, and we'll forever be grateful for it. I'll speak for myself. I won't put you in it. But the truth is, Vampire Diaries, we were cast in Vampire Diaries. Vampire Diaries already you know, the notion of it was created by someone else that already existed, and we came in and we created our own characters, but we really were part of a bigger puzzle, right? Now with Brothers Bond, this is Ian and I sat in his living room and kitchen
for over a year
and blended this ourselves, and we came up with the name Brothers Bond ourselves, and we designed the label with our team. We picked the bottle, we picked the cork. I mean, everything has been so perfectly sort of
well, we've been obsessing over every, like even the corners and the edges and the way they sit and the fonts. And
so then to see your baby go out on shelves and take off is a completely different feeling than joining something that is someone else's creation.
But it's also the culmination. No, I agree with you. But it's also too, what's so interesting is it's also the culmination of all of that bonding, literally, not to sound too thematic, but all of that bonding. This guy and I spent 8 years of our lives. Think about this. 8 years is a really long time. Every single day together. And then on the off, we shot 9 months a year, and those 2.5 or 3 months we spent traveling around the world together. It was an insane amount of time. That level of connection and bonding now all distilled literally into a bottle. So all of those memories, all that energy put into this it's like, it is on another level beyond the shadow of a doubt. And like Paul said, this is all, we created this. So while we're forever grateful for Brothers Bond, all of the stuff is in this bottle. And the other thing about it is clearly Brothers Bond, right? It's obviously a nod to us and our characters, but it's the bond you share with someone else. So many ladies are enjoying this, and so many, I mean, from 21 to 60-year-olds and upwards are just enjoying this daily.
Yeah, and it's not about, it's like Brothers Bond is our thing, our nod to us and our brotherhood in real life, our brotherhood on screen. But really, we created this thing so that people have bonds with one another, whether it's a stranger, whether it's on a Zoom. I mean, you know, we're all bonding right now and talking and having some bourbon. Like, that's what this is about, you know, and whether you're at a bar or at Thanksgiving, you know. So yeah, we're really proud of it, needless to say. I think that goes without saying. But that's a great question.
When you guys were on Vampire Diaries, at what point were you like looking at a trailer like, you like bourbon? I like bourbon. You should drink bourbon. Was there like a moment when you're like, wait a minute, did we just become best friends? Like,
it's lover.
Andy Samberg and Timberlake. Oh my God, that's brilliant, actually. But honestly, it happened from the beginning. You know, I said, so when Paul and I were creating these characters, this actually goes back way back, honestly, to Vancouver. We were, you know, I was 30, you were 26, I think. And we were talking about, you know, these guys literally live off of blood and, you know, bourbon. They literally live off of
That's all they ever drank was bourbon.
Coffee to keep them warm, but it was bourbon and blood. That was it. And so, you know, Paul and I, of course, you know, we're
liquid diet,
right? It's like a young, sexy show, right? So Paul and I are just like in the gym, and we have trainers and all this nutritionists and stuff, and we're doing all this stuff. But then at the end of it, we would sit at dinner and we could have some wine and stuff, but Paul and I would bond over bourbon. Like Paul loved beer and wine, and you love your clear spirits, you know, like amazing vodkas and stuff. But Paul was from New Jersey. I grew up in Louisiana. And when Paul moved down to Atlanta, we were in the deep South. And Paul fell in love with this brown spirit called bourbon. And we just bonded.
And genuinely, it became, you know, it's like one of the things I looked forward to after a long week of work was like kicking back and having a bourbon. That was like what signified the end of a long week, and that I can just relax and give myself a treat. And that was my ritual. That was my ritual for 8 years.
Yeah, it's pretty special, man. And so, to be honest with you, like, you know, for anyone watching who hasn't really gotten into this bourbon yet, and Brad's really the expert, but, you know, when you get into this nose, for anyone watching, the higher up you are on the nose, you're going to get the lighter notes, right? Brad, you can attest to this. The more floral notes, maybe a hint of like light citrus or something. But as you come down, this is what Paul and I geek out over this. As you come down and get your nose into that glass, you're going to get those bigger notes, the baked banana bread, literally like grandma made, right? Baked banana bread.
For real.
Orange peel, like a twisted orange peel. Warm spice, maybe.
Definitely.
That's the difference.
And then just a touch of oak at the end. It's a lot going on.
A lot going on.
It's like our relationship, Paul.
Yeah, it's complex like me and Ian and our relationship.
Complex. It's a complex bond that cannot be broken.
Yeah.
Exactly. By the way, it's true. That's what our wives say too.
Well, they're generally right, so I'll take their word.
I hate it. They're always right.
It's tough. It's a tough sled we all have to pull, but it's better for us.
Right? It is. It makes us better people.
He's got a gun on him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But and then when you get into that taste, for anyone who's sipping this right now with us, actually, let's take one together. Let's walk through it. So what we are looking for, Brad, this is what we talked about, but for anyone watching, Kentucky, we were looking for immediate approachability right out of the bottle, but a complexity that a bourbon lover would love, like us. But we were looking for that equal sensory proportion, right? So all of those grains are expressed over your palate, but in total balance and harmony. We're not trying to sound too like kumbaya about it. That's literally, it's what it is.
You're spot on. It is. It's very balanced in a good way. I've always said this: to me, there's balanced boring, and then there's balanced good. So it's like balanced boring is like on a 1 to 10, everything's a 3, and it's just it's as one of my buddies would say, it's breakfast whiskey. But then there's balanced good, where it's like everything out of 10 is 7 to 9, and it doesn't go too far any one direction, and there's not one direction detracting the other. And that's what I get out of this. It's very approachable in the beginning. The mouthfeel is medium. It's not overly viscous or cloying or anything. And then it starts off very subtle and sweet, but then it builds into, to me, kind of, it's very kind of like to me, it's like toasted or roasted grains. It's very good. It's a little bit fruity. And then to me, it's rye spice. And that's what I like.
Yeah. Well, it's a high rye.
A lot of people like
high
rye.
rye.
I like rye content.
Yeah, we're 22% rye, so it's considered a high rye.
But as that rye, as you get that warm spice, and this is what Paul and I obsessed over. Jim Rutledge, it was funny. The first Zoom I ever did, Paul was shooting. Jim Rutledge was on it with us, which was pretty amazing to be sitting there with Jim Rutledge. Obviously, anyone watching, if you don't know Jim Rutledge's name, Google him. And Four Roses fame. He's one of the OG ballers in this business. And we were going through our mash bill. The mash bill is, all the different grains that are used and what percentages they are. And we're high rye, 22% rye. Anything over 18% is considered high. 65% corn. And then wheat and barley, they're typically disclosed, right? We are just keeping that to ourselves now. This dude and I spent, Brad, I talked to you about this. We spent 6 months just adjusting wheat and barley. And why was, like you just said, that high rye is great, but it's got to be balanced. And that toasted grain of the wheat and that nuttiness of the rye balance out that high rye. And then once the high rye is done, when it comes down, you get that little sweet kick on the end. So you get all the flavor, whoop, 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 and then it drops off to a sweet, nice sort of like, see you later. And then you go, wow, okay, that was pretty damn special.
I have to say you get an A because Jim Rutledge was the one way back when.
Sorry.
You drink a lot of bourbon all the time. You're like, I know a lot. Then you meet somebody and you're like, I don't know as much as I thought I knew. It was Jim Rutledge for me. And one day we were talking about aromas, and I still believe this a little bit. It's like once a whiskey smells delicious, it's pretty hard to go down from there. Like you have to really fail
Right.
after
Right.
it smells great. And Jim said, that's true. He said, but finish is everything for a great whiskey. He said, and it doesn't matter what barrel I pick or what limited edition I do or whatever I put my name on. He goes, if there's not at least a medium to long finish, he goes, it's out. He said, so I would advise you to combine what you think about aromas with finish. He goes, and then judge everything in between. And so I've been doing that for years. It's like, no, it smells great. And so I used to think if it smelled great, it's number one. Now the one that smells best, I pick a lot of barrels. So it could be like the one that smells best is number three. When you put in the finish and the taste. And I've always taken that from him. That was a long time ago. He got real excited. He had a dry erase board, draw all this stuff out. And you just nailed it. You just said it almost in your own words about that finish. So good job.
Hey,
Jim, man.
look at you.
I know what I'm saying. When Brad said that, and he's quoting Jim Rutledge, that's when you know you're in business, man, because this is what, like, I'm not kidding you. This dude and I have put our entire freaking lives into this company. It's everything we do, you know?
You can tell. You two should be very proud. And that's why I want to dial back. That's why I asked that question about your early days and this, because this to me, if I were you guys, is very rewarding to create something and have people love it.
Rewarding?
I find, listen, the process of shooting that show was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
And difficult.
And it went it was very hard because you're giving, it takes a tremendous amount of not just mental fortitude, but physical endurance, right? Like there are, when you're talking about working 100-hour week, and what's crazy is our crew worked even harder than we did. So when you're talking about working 100-hour work week, or even maybe a 60 or 80-hour work week, but then flying every week to another place to work or shoot publicity or whatever it may be, I did 60 to 90 flights for a decade.
And also just the shooting schedule changes, right? One minute you're waking up at 4 a.m., the next minute you're shooting till 4 a.m., so your body's like all over the place. Yeah. And anyway, we're not complaining, but the bottom line is this has just been, it's a completely different experience that is pretty rad.
And also too, but by the way, with Vampire Diaries, I'll say this. When you look at whether it's a television show or a company that has succeeded, and I don't mean just numbers, but I mean literally worked in pop culture or food and beverage or automotive or whatever it may be, you have a story that worked, it's typically because the team in place was unmatched. Your team is everything. When you're looking, if you're an entrepreneur to build a team, or you're an investor looking to buy a company, or you're building a bourbon brand, whatever it is, who are the people, the operators and the team who are going to go into those places that are going to be the best at what they do? And fortunately, Vincent Hanna, our CEO, and our dear brother, we always joke, but we call him the third illegitimate brother. He's like the bigger, handsome version of us.
He knows a lot.
Canadian, though.
Which is,
he's
we won't hold it against him.
Better. He got a better education we did down here in the U.S.
He has better manners than us.
Yeah, that's for
100%. But the thing about it is Vincent Hanna surrounded us with a team that was unmatched. Our CMO, our VP of sales, our entire company, our regional managers and district managers who go in, our sales team, and our distributors. We have a team that is unmatched, and that is really what's made the difference of taking this from bottle to table. And I was just sitting here looking at it. You're gonna think I'm kind of weird. Hold on, but I'm kind of obsessed with this thing because I'll show you in a second.
What are you talking about?
Well, we always look at this thing and refer to this thing.
Oh yeah.
It's a little strange, but in our studio here, we have all of our grains, right? And we sort of like, we kind of like worship these things. Can you believe,
Wow.
here, pull it
I'm gonna
out.
do like a.
Can you
Sort of looks like a
believe that,
dribble, if you know what that is.
that this turns in to this? One of the main components that like turns into, and we sit here and we taste as a team. We take wheat, barley, rye, and corn, and we taste them raw. And we taste some of our wheat, barley, rye, and corn. And, this is nature, man. Like, we are total nerd geeks about this shit. This is actually nature that ends up in a bottle. And Brad, you and I had really great, discussions about this, which is, and Paul and I talk about this all the time, the science and the nature of this and the authenticity of our story and brotherhood in a bottle, getting to share it with now hundreds of thousands of people. We were fortunate. We sold 50,000 cases in less than 5 months, and that was 2 months ago. So it's obviously a lot more.
So,
Dream.
I hate to keep asking you guys questions. I feel like
Please,
but I'm so curious about a lot of this.
This is your podcast. I mean, this is your
many
live.
How many states are you guys in? Do you know?
27.
27. Are you outside the United States yet?
Nope.
Not yet.
No,
Yeah,
we're not. We're not.
We will be.
We will be, but we're not right now. Right now, we're just focused on the U.S. and we hit 50,000 cases. Actually, we hit 50,000 cases in less than 5 months in 22 states.
That's crazy. Are you in Louisiana?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just in Louisiana, and I shot a bunch of great video content, and then I got locked out of my phone.
Ooh.
And I don't have all the video content.
I locked them out.
I tried, yeah, right. I tried to shoot as much as I could extra, but I was just.
So that's back to my original question. Is it really rewarding that back in Louisiana and back in New Jersey, your bourbon is on the shelves for sale? Everyone you grew up with, everyone you know, all your relatives. That's got to be awesome.
2 words: mind blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just also like, I mean, like for example, I can go down for Thanksgiving with my family this year and be like, all right, guys, we're having some of my bourbon. Like that's
Awesome.
how cool is that?
Way cool.
Yeah. It's really exciting.
Yeah, man. I'm. There's never a moment, and this is hard to say in life. And this is what I was telling people earlier, and I would say this on this live, which is life kicks you in the teeth. Your bourbon doesn't have to. And as of the last, almost 2 years we've had, how difficult the world has been for all of us. Sitting with your friends and your family, having a sip of bourbon. Hopefully it's this bourbon because it is so smooth. And we made it so that you could bond and not sit and talk about the bourbon. It's not about the bourbon. It's actually about the experience. And it says on the back of our bottle, life is about experiences. We crafted this hand-selected bourbon in hopes that you may strengthen bonds, both new and old. Reminisce, share, and enjoy all it has to offer. And that's the only thing that we can say to all of you, which is just experience. Please.
I mean, that's perfect with Thanksgiving coming, right? And especially to your point earlier of it's been a long time. We're going to see some people we may not have seen in a while. So my Aunt Jamie, I know you're probably watching because you love me. I usually bring a bottle of whiskey to every Thanksgiving, and she usually loves it. We talk about it. This is coming with me. We're going to try it with pumpkin pie. My other aunt makes a pretty wicked banana pudding with a graham cracker crust crumble. I'm pretty sure this is going to go with both of those really well. I'm going to go neat the whole day, probably an ice water within arm's reach. I'm pretty sure, though, an old-fashioned, you did a pumpkin spice old-fashioned, but even a normal old-fashioned, I bet, rock and rolls with pumpkin pie.
Our
I
old
bet those
fashions
are perfect.
We have a killer. So if you go on brothersbondbourbon.com and you go to recipes, you'll see all of our recipes and got all these incredible cocktail recipes that we curated with our mixologists.
unbelievable mixology. I mean, well, here's the thing for us. It was all about seasonality, right? You want to create experiences throughout your year.
Yeah.
And so we have this 12-month sort of like period where you get to enjoy cocktails.
Yeah, you could do a hot toddy in the winter, which I'm certainly going to be doing when I'm skiing this winter. And in the summer, you can have a Mystic Charmer, which is like something you could have on the beach because it's so refreshing.
Yep.
So, full transparency, I looked at these cocktails, and let me say, everyone out there listening, go to brothersbond.com and check out the cocktail page.
Bourbon.com.
Brothersbondbourbon.com
is awesome.
Thank you.
The Mystic was the first thing. Paul, the Mystic is the first thing I saw. I was like, that looks like something that should go in like a Yeti around a pool.
Exactly.
And it was already on my list. And then I'm scrolling down through there, and I'm
format.
like, what is this bonfire thing? It's got
Oh.
cool stuff coming out of it. And then it's going to be really cold here in Kentucky Saturday. We're probably going to a football game, and I'm thinking bonfire just might be on the list. And then there was another one. I can't quite remember the name. It had cinnamon sticks and cinnamon shaving on it.
Oh, yeah.
I was blown away. I was like,
What was the
this
name of the
yours.
one
Like,
with
this
the
might just be my new cocktail page. Is just to go through all your old stuff. And then you had the food.
Look it up.
I'm looking it up.
So that bonfire
Yes.
goes in here.
I'm looking it up right now.
And then obviously, look, I'm not trying to sell people and stuff. But here's the great thing. For gifts, right? Like life has not been easy, and we want to reward our friends and family. We're all so busy and crazy. This is such a, not only just a talking point, but sort of like a feel-good, fun company. This type of stuff, you get your Brothers Bond from Liquor Barn, you get your bonfire mugs, and you sit there and you make these amazing cocktails. And man, I will tell you, you will not be disappointed. And for everybody, also too, using cold brew and stuff, like, look, the holidays are also exhausting. One of my favorite authors, this guy, David, do you ever read David Sedaris?
Yeah.
David Sedaris'
Yeah,
brother.
sure.
He wrote this little tiny book.
This is awesome.
Oh, he's amazing, right? It's really thin, but it's a little tiny book. It's called Holidays on Ice. Speakeasy.
And the hot toddy. But
Yeah.
the speakeasy
The
has the...
Speakeasy.
Oh, and then there's a pumpkin spice
old
old-fashioned.
fashioned.
Oh, is the speakeasy with the cinnamon sticks?
Yeah.
Dude, the
Yeah.
speakeasy is silly. But, listen, this is such a great, fun holiday thing. These are gifts that go so easily under the tree or in the stocking, and it's just simple. And also, too, this is what we got to do at Liquor Barn. These things are going to go crazy. People are going to love these. And,
See? Hey, it ain't a party until
Man down.
fills a drink. You know what I mean?
That's a waste. By the way, that's a legitimate waste.
It sure is.
Any
It's an
sip of
excuse
Brothers
to pour
Bond,
more. Now you have to
Pardon?
pour more. I
Yeah,
said it's
right.
an excuse to pour more. Now you have to pour
right?
more.
No, for sure. And anyone who's here listening, obviously, just to recap, when I got to go down to Kentucky with Liquor Barn, and I was there with Jonathan and Brad and this amazing team and our distributors and our Brothers Bond team. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, I'm a
Look at
great
you,
guy.
cleaning up my. I usually clean up your messes.
Well, yeah, I'm not so sure.
But this was a very special moment. I'll tell you, man, in full transparency, I was a poor kid from Louisiana, and my old man, there's so much stigma around it now because of the animal insanity. But I grew up on the racetrack as a kid, and Kentucky, was always in our sights. We always dreamed about going to Kentucky and, the beautiful green rolling hills and the bourbon and the horses. And I actually sold a pilot. I sold a TV show to our network, the CW. It was a bourbon show.
Really?
Yeah. I sold it to the network, and it was actually a really badass
happened to
story. It was in the last moments. It was midnight. It was literally midnight in LA, and I got a call from Peter Roth, who was like a dad to me, and said it could not have been closer. It was razor thin. But that is how much I love this spirit, is that I developed a TV show about it and actually sold it to the network and developed it. Maybe I'll do another one. Maybe it's like
ahead of its time. Now you know.
maybe it's
By the
time.
way,
Maybe we could shoot a TV show. Maybe we should shoot it. Tell everybody. Let me ask you this: you're online. If I could produce and star in a great show in Kentucky about bourbon, would you watch it? Brad, you got to be a technical director.
One. I'll show up, but you have to find somebody to. I get to be in it somehow weird, like in the background, doing
Not
some
even
weird
you
background
gotta
thing,
be in it. You'd have to be in the scene talking about
Yes.
bourbon.
or like dumping a barrel, just like. And then the credits, I would be like barrel dumper number 2 or something. That'd be great.
Guy who dumped number 1.
Yeah, guy who dumps barrels.
Yeah.
But he was also. But Ian, you don't know this. I was also
Dumper
the
number
murderer.
1.
You didn't know this. I was also the person who murdered those people, and it doesn't come out to the last episode. So,
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I ruined it.
Right,
It's like
Sorry,
True
I ruined it.
Detective.
Yeah,
I just ruined
True,
it.
true detective. Yeah, could be that.
There you go. There you go. The
Listen.
guy dumping the barrel in the beginning, who you thought looked a little weird, it was him.
Yep.
For sure. So, anyway, I mean, I know we've been on here for a minute. I just appreciate that we could just pour some whiskey and talk about life and relatives and Thanksgiving and the past and the future. What? I just said the word, the future. We have not talked about the future. I know the marketing people are like, what's going on? What is the future? Tell us just little snippets of the future for Brothers Bond.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. We got some really killer coming out pretty soon, and it's called Cask Strength. And we are very excited. Yeah.
Our cast strength, we are beyond excited. I mean, listen, this bourbon received a 93-point rating from Tasting Panel, which is hard to get at 80 proof, right? For an 80 proof bourbon, it's hard to get ratings like that. But our cast strength is this, but at 116, it goes somewhere between 116.4 to 117.8, something like that.
Yeah.
It ranges in that range. We've been looking at this for quite a long time, and it's magical. We have an 8-year program. It's a 4-year rollout of an 8-year. That is unbelievable. 8 years, 8 summers in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. 8 years together
on television. Yeah.
So 1 year in a barrel for every year we were on air together.
I love it.
That is spectacular. Our Brothers Bond bottled and bond 100 proof version of this is literally to die for. But that
I did want to say there has to be a bonded version. How can there not be a bonded version of Brothers Bond?
There will be.
Just Brothers Bond, bonded and bond,
bottled and
bond. It's unbelievable.
I love it.
And that with just a big, we take just one big ice cube and we drizzle that 100 proof, the bottled and bond, the 50%, the 100 proof over that. And I literally just take my index finger and just give it a couple of swirls, and literally out of the bottle, just, and it's magic. But that cast strength, man, we're really excited about, and that's coming soon.
I love cask strength, and you don't have to tell us. You said coming soon, so in the beverage industry, that could be 2 months or a year. But
I'm thinking for definitely Q1.
Wow.
Q1 of 2022.
So I love cask strength, and what I like about cask strength is, my wife is always cold. I'm always hot. So it's real easy to get warm when you're cold. It's not exactly easy to get cold when you're hot. So when it comes to whiskey, when you have cask strength, you can tone that down with drops of water, lots of water, ice, whatever you want to use. It's hard to go up. So,
That's right.
There's probably a night that I would drink Brothers Bond cask strength and not put anything on it. Sure. And there might be another night where I might drop it over a cube, like you said, or I might just put a touch of water in it. Yeah. So it's really easy to tone it down. It's not as easy to bring it up. So I'm excited about that. That is exciting news.
Oh,
yeah, we're pumped.
We're pumped, man. And I'll tell you, without a doubt, it is. When we were just in Lawrenceburg, it was, oh my gosh, it was so cool. Listen, I will say in all transparency, we are working on a rye. And again, this is not going to happen right now, but man, it is so special because, and under the guidance of Vincent Hanna, our CEO, but anything we do has the DNA of this. Like, you can't touch this, right? So everything comes back to that, right? You can change ABV, but this profile stays with you. And our rye is no different. this rye is, so Paul and I were in Lawrenceburg, Indiana, and because, we're looking at our barrels. We know our barrels are sitting on, these racks. And Paul and I take a hammer and we pop open one of our rye barrels. And we have Sam Smeltzer's big whiskey thief. Sam is like the master blender at MGP. He was our boy, and it's our MGP Luxco family, right? So Paul and I are bringing our whiskey out in this giant, gorgeous copper thief. And we realized, this is our new bourbon. This is what, I think it was 2 years old, our rye barrel. So we're thinking, hey, listen, it's going to look beautiful. It's going to have that really beautiful red color. But this is going to be hot, man. This is a 2-year-old cast strength rye that we have. So Paul and I put it into glasses, we swish it around, we toast each other, and we just put it back. And we looked at each other and we went, holy shit. It was the sweetest, creamiest, most nuanced stuff. And we just realized, boom, we got it. We figured out how to, it's coming. It's all coming down the pipeline. And so we're just, I don't know, to get to do this, we're blown away, man. So thanks for talking with us and including us.
Thank you.
You
Thank
and
you guys.
Jonathan.
You're very excited. You've got a bourbon. You have 2 other bourbons coming out. You have a rye coming out. You're going to have what the people in the industry call a billboard on the shelf. You guys should be very excited. I'm sure you are. I'm excited for it. I mean, I love cast strength, and I love bonded. And I love regular. I love 80. I love all the bourbons, I guess. I could try to pick one out, but quite frankly, so I appreciate everything you guys have done for us. The trip to Kentucky was magical. We all loved every second of it.
Don't rub it in.
Had a good time too.
Next one, he'll be there.
I don't know if you need to come down to Derby. There's a lot of bourbon. The weather's better. There's horses. Ian's been talking about that since he was a little boy. So it's all happening there. You need to come back and see us.
100%.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you to you and Jonathan and this unbelievable, again, unmatched team at Liquor Barn. And I'll tell you, everyone, these things are going to go like crazy. I got to make this one at Liquor Barn myself, but you can do all sorts of stuff with them. This is going to make people really, really, really happy. This is what I'm sending to everyone in my family and my colleagues and, corporate gifts. And it's gangbusters, man. So thank you, Brad, by the way, Brad, I got to tell you, one of the things I called Paul, geeking out about, I also called my old man. What you guys did with all the old, the structural parts that you guys brought from old rick houses that you built in that store. Being able to walk through and look at these 130-year-old pieces of oak, holding up all this whiskey, ours is included. Ours is included in that. And then the secret frickin' room that you walk into, and you see all these obviously rare and some of them wildly expensive bourbons. But to see Brothers Bond in there and to be able to walk into a secret room in the back of a store that's like a hidden wall, it's just magic, man. So everyone watching, just so it's really, in stone that this partnership with Liquor Barn means the world to us. I mean, it literally means the world to us. To be in Kentucky, next time we're going to be there together, just means the world to us. So thanks, Brad.
No, thank you, guys. And Paul, if you come and Ian doesn't come, we will put together something super spectacular.
There it is.
That we did Ian, you missed it, man. Here, we did this.
We'll rub it in his
that.
face.
Paul
Payback.
this. We made Paul sell something to somebody at the front of the store. It'd be awesome. But hopefully it's both of you. The invitation is open. Come back to the Commonwealth of Kentucky, whether it's Derby or June or July or whenever, February. I hope to sample the cast strength, the bonded, and this. Maybe a Brothers Bond flight. Who thought
There it is.
There we go.
I want to be on that airline.
Boom. Oh, yeah, I like that. I'm going to steal that from you. I'm just going to admit it right now. But anyway,
bro.
Cheers to you
Cheers,
guys.
man.
Cheers to Brothers
Cheers,
Bond.
everybody. And thank you for coming on with us and sampling this bourbon and talking about it and smelling it and tasting it. And, Brad is an expert. and he's got more passion about bourbon than almost anyone I know. To be on this for he and I to be on this with you, Brad, means we've done something right, and for that I'm grateful. Thank you for your passion, your expertise, and your partnership, man. Thank you.
Nope. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, brother.
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers, everybody. Thank you for being
Yep.
on this. Cheers.
Cheers,
brother.
bud.
Love and
Yep.
appreciate you, man.
You too, brother. Thanks, guys.
See you guys.
Thank you, Liquor Barn.
Yeah.